It's hard to think of an exact starting point for my involvement in motorsport and my career and everything like that, because cars and bikes and stuff have just been around from as long as I can remember. Dad used to race bikes when I was really, really small, and I think sort of seeing him in the workshop was where my interest was first kind of rekindled and stuff, because he'd be there sort of messing around with carburetors and playing around like that on things like that, and I sort of grew up watching and learning and sort of, well, some people wouldn't say learning, but anyway, the first time that sort of went into cars was, I suppose, when I was about 5 or 6. Dad came home with his first ever race car, which was a little Merlin Formula Ford. And he prepped it himself, got it all ready, and he actually won the novice championship, which was quite cool. That was back in 1997. And yeah, it just went from there. I sort of was badgering them, trying to get a go, because Mum had also started racing a couple of years later, and I was pushing for every opportunity, and Dad said, right, okay, if you want to do this, you've got to prep the car and do it yourself. You've got to understand how it all works. So yeah, I rebuilt the gearbox in the Formula Ford, because that was one of the things that was the reason it was stopped. And it went from there. After getting the car all ready and doing a little shakedown and stuff, we were out in New Zealand where they were racing in the Formula 5000s, and they said, right, okay, you can go and do some race school. So I went down to see Andy Neal, and he, I suppose he taught me pretty much everything I know between him and my dad. So that gave me my real starting point. And I came back over to Europe at age 16, and I won the novice championship, which was quite cool because it was 10 years after Dad had won it. And yeah, it just progressed forwards from there, really. Yeah, so after showing the promise in the historic Formula Ford, I moved into Formula Renault, which was my first taste of professional motorsport. I think that's where I learned the biggest part of my work ethic in terms of driving, in terms of getting the most out of the car every time I sit behind the steering wheel, learning from the data and things like that. Because when I stepped in, there was guys who'd been doing racing karts and stuff for probably 8 or 10 years. Guys like Harry Tinknell, James Collado, some real sort of top level guys coming out. And yeah, I think it was hard. I didn't get the greatest of results, I'll be honest. We showed good speed, but it never really kind of came to anything. But what was cool was at the same time I was driving these 500 horsepower beasts, and I think that sort of helped me grow as a driver, learning the work ethic on one side, but also the car control of these sort of big, powerful cars along sort of side by side with each other. And that's sort of what really developed me as a driver, and I think gave me the ideal sort of stepping stone to leap over into sports cars. So 2011 was my stepping stone into sports cars. I started in British GT with a Scuderia Vittoria, who were a small little team back then, with a Ferrari 458. We had a very good season. We finished third in the championship, and we had a couple of good wins. We were the first Ferrari 458 to win a race, which was quite a cool thing back then. And yeah, that kind of just progressed through, really. Moved into Europe. I did FIA GT3, we were vice champions there and team champions. And we just sort of kept progressing. I moved as International GT Open for a season as well. And while all this was kind of going on, I was still doing the historic stuff, which was also, I was becoming more and more involved on the team side. As I've grown up, that's almost become my main job kind of thing, as well as the driving. And we were lucky to win some really quite special races with that, having sort of won Monaco twice in the Hesketh behind me, having driven Can-Am cars at the Australian Grand Prix and won out there, because those things are just crazy. And it's all kind of helped round me up towards the last year or two, really. It's doing the European Le Mans Series last year was a great experience. GTE was mega, the level was very high. Getting to drive 2 out of the 4 hours was a really nice and good experience for me, to sort of that mental prep of having to jump in and out of the car in quite a close, short period of time. and also dealing with the traffic. I think having that experience in GTE, stepping forwards, it's going to be a big thing on my side. So. All that led into 2015 to kind of explain how we got into here. My relationship with Murphy really started midway through last year. They were doing a tyre test at Snetterton. I got the call I think it was a week or two before, and prototypes has always been something I'm interested in. Having driven the 90s stuff in Group C, was just looking to have a crack at it, see what happened. The test went really well. We had strong pace, and we've sort of kept in touch from there. I've had a great relationship with all the guys, and sort of been in contact with Greg, and it all kind of clicked that this was real and this was happening about a month or two back, when we sort of said, right, let's get on to Rickard and let's get going. And to be honest, I've never looked back. The test went really well. I was really happy. We did some really good long runs, and I also found it's such a nice little team. It's kind of cool coming back into a British team, or Irish, sorry. Ooh, but yeah, it's good coming with sort of all English speaking guys, and there's a lot more banter and stuff to be had. It just feels like almost like a coming home, and I just can't wait to get out to Silverstone in the first race. I had a strong run there last year, and I really think this could be the start of something big.